selfish perspective, but it also gave me a sense of accountability and responsibility, and I didn't take it lightly. I wanted to spread everything that I had absorbed to my students, and that's what I'm doing now. Life is about service, so you're supposed to absorb all you can and wring out even more. So fortunate to be in the position. After starting the Bundy Company and teaching, I just stayed hungry. It wasn't enough. And I had friends and family that said, man, you're making the money, you're doing this, you're doing good here. Why isn't this enough? But internally, I wasn't self-gratified by making the money and just teaching on that level. I actually felt guilty because I only had a master's degree, and I didn't think I was preparing our black students. Benedict is a historically black college. I didn't think I was preparing them to compete with the other students in the state of South Carolina for graduate school opportunities or professional career opportunities. So I made my mind up that I wasn't going to cheat me or cheat them, and I left and moved to Delaware, closed my Bell Bundy business, resigned from teaching to come get the Ph.D., and here I sit.
Lord?
Yeah, I'm writing notes. Let me write my notes.
I know I gave you a lot, brother, so, wherever you want to jump in, just jump in.
Well, Brian, I first want to say, man, I'm so happy Gil was able to work it out where you would be on this show. I'm currently working in a series called Why Not Now for Teens, and we're trying to reach out to our teenage males to empower them in ways that they aren't and pour into them about entrepreneurial spirits. And to hear you talk about this, man, is so encouraging. It lets me know that I'm on the right track and that there are other soldiers out there that are fighting the good fight and haven't given up on our youth, man. And man, I'm so happy to hear the things you're doing.
Oh man, Clark, bless you too, brother, for fighting the fight and believing in the young folks. If I may interject real quick, I really want the listeners to understand that we're doubted. Young black men are doubted even before they present themselves, open their mouths, and get an opportunity to defend themselves. They're in the negative if we're going to do a scale of negative to positive. We're already working from behind the 8 ball. And it doesn't make sense, in the research, what I'm talking about in that 7-part series about the lifestyles of coping to structural inequality, it gets passed down. And what I mean by structural inequality is poor neighborhoods, poor schools, poor health care, no job opportunities. And that struggle and that fight generationally over the last 200-300 years have been passed down along with the degradation, the psychological beatdown that you ain't nothing. You're going to be just like your daddy. You ain't going to never be this. Boy, you crazy to think you want to be a lawyer. And I don't blame my fathers, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, my sisters or brothers. I just want to make them aware of the responsibility and the impact that we have when we say those things to young black men. For some reason, we think crime in prison just started because a 14-year-old kid has his pants sagging, listen to Young Jeezy and smoking marijuana. They are to blame for the disproportionate representation of young black men in prison. Now, you're really going to put that on a 14-year-old? No, what we're doing is you're avoiding the mirror. You're not looking at your responsibility and how you've contributed to this because you have accepted the Western ideology of viewing young black men. In itself, what's written in these schools, in public schools, the historical analysis in college, earning bachelor's degrees, is the same historical context of a negative connotation about young black men. So you take living day to day and you see a young white female when you pull up at the red light and she rolls her windows up when she looks over at you. This happens to me. And I look at her, and when I was younger, it used to just make me mad. But as I got older and started learning the historical degradation to us and the separation that's been done on purpose, if she has not met me, grown up interacting with me in her neighborhood, in her community, in her school, gets to college, everything that's written about us does not highlight me as being a professor. We aren't seen in positions of authority. We aren't seen in positions to impact everyone. We're painted as thugs. Who knows what that definition means? Criminal. We're going to talk about how crime got racialized later on. I know we're going to do that. But those are the connotations that are directly attached to young black men. So why shouldn't she be afraid of me when she sees my long dreadlocks and my dark skin?
I was.
Exactly. But we unconsciously, we don't realize what we're doing to the young men. And let's say, young ladies, we do want spouses. So we're working against each other in this thing. It's sad. One thing that I do, I'm trained in this program called Inside Out. And I got trained to go in prison. I take my University of Delaware students into a prison, and I have 15 university students and 15 incarcerated folks. And we have class together in the prison. The most powerful class I have ever been a part of. There's a whole lot of logistic conversation and protecting the identity of the folks, but we don't let them use terms like prisoner, inmate. And we're feeding into the psyche of the negative connotations of terminology. And you would be amazed to see, once you start to strip those and you call everyone students, how we all on the same playing field.
Yeah, exactly.
Your story, my story, we got something to add in the classroom. In our community, we aren't uplifting each other, especially young black men. We're not telling them the value of their story. We're not telling them about the drug center that I'm a research assistant for, making $10 million off their stories by sending me into the prison and interviewing young brothers about the effects of alcohol and drugs on their life. We're not telling them how you can package that yourself and make your book a bestseller, how you can get on the circuit and go around speaking about your story. It's our story that is profiting the country. Prisons are a huge industry, and black and brown men are the ones that are filling these beds. But you can get a PhD like me, you can get a grant from the National Institute of Justice, and you can go out and you can study them, you can get them $5, and then you can come out and make a book, and now you can make your career. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we are rejecting. We are rejecting treating our community as a stepping ladder for our careers. We're going to uplift. We're going to use that old cliche, cream rises to the top. Mm-hmm. We're going to spend time with the females in the community saying, hey, have you ever thought about saying something positive to him, how that could impact him and you? We understand that you made a decision, father is whatever, but can we understand the degradation and the impact on a 10-year-old kid when you take his dreams away? Oprah Winfrey had a show on Good Morning America, and she had kids from the age of 3 to 7 on the show from all around the country about 3 years ago. And she went around the country, and most of these kids were from third world countries, of course, that they were poor. And she asked those children, what did they want to be when they grew up? These kids wanted to be dignitaries. These kids wanted to be presidents of their country. Mm. And I mean, it bothered me because I realized at that time we socialized them into the isms, to the classisms, to the racisms, to the sexisms, that we take their dreams away by saying, hey, boy, you poor and black from East Point. You can't be that. From College, you can't be that. You need to be from Alpharetta in order for you to be that. And that happens. It's amazing what happens after you start attending public school and how your dreams change, especially for young black men.
Well, I want to ask